Good morning, my fellow speculators, and welcome back to the YouTube channel. My name's Luke, and today I'm going to be talking about Kalamazoo Resources. So just firstly, I just want to talk about my last video. I went through that video quite quickly. I just touched base on a lot of companies that I mentioned in the video and didn't really get into the nitty gritty. So I said that I was going to go through and do one video for each company that was on that chart. So that is what this is. And just to start the video off, I thought I'd show you my cash portfolio. I won't show you my super. I'll show that every couple of videos. But yeah, just for the meantime, especially while the market's quite volatile, I'll keep you up to date with what's going in my cash portfolio. So here, obviously there's been a lot of volatility in the markets, and the gold futures moved up quite a lot on the 7th of April, which was yesterday. So I took this screenshot at basically the closing hour of market close, and to talk about it today. I guess it's probably dropped quite a bit today. Actually, I think it has already dropped quite a lot, but still holding fairly strong nevertheless. So Cardinal Resources, good to see them move a little bit and stay a little bit stable. Holding them long term, 5 million ounces in the ground and 5.1 in reserve, so it's quite huge, huge number there. Going to hold them and see what happens. KZR, I'll be talking about them today, as I mentioned. They had an 18% move, yesterday. They're tightly held, so it doesn't really surprise me. West African Resources finally getting away from that low 40s and trying to get past those mid 40s, I guess. So they did quite well. Still ridiculously undervalued, just the same as Cardinal. But we'll see how they go in the future and see what the next few months brings them. So let's get into it. Yeah, so I'll just get started. Luke Rayner is the CEO and Managing Director of Kalamazoo Resources. He's also the Managing Director of North Rosa, which is a Australian-based construction material supply company. So they operate in the Pilbara, do a whole bunch of workings in the Pilbara and stuff like that. I think his main focus is obviously Kalamazoo at the moment, especially since Novo and Sprott and Beaton Creek have all bought in. A few pretty big names there. So a little bit about him, which I've compiled in here, and you can read it for yourself later. Luke has a Bachelor of Laws degree and a Bachelor of Arts degree. 4 million unlisted options exercisable at 25 cents or before the 30th of November 2021. So he's got quite a lot of options there, quite a lot of money in. And speaking of money, their current cash on hand is 13 million cash plus receivables, and potentially another 25 million options exercisable. So I've read through the December quarter. Their estimated capital expenditure for the March quarter was 1.8 million. So if we take that off the remaining cash, we get 11.2 million. So waiting to see their quarterly update for the March quarter to see if they have spent that amount, if they've spent more or less. But either way, I think they'll have enough money for the drilling in the June quarter and all the programs that are currently coming up. So their plan works. So they're going to do soil sampling at all their projects: Castlemaine, Muggleford, and also the Sisters Gold Project in Western Australia. So they've got 2,800 samples that have got to be done along this shear zone here, and it's quite an interesting thing. This program was already actually announced on the 30th of November in 2017. The previous soils were actually from a third-party lithium exploration project, and Kalamazoo have decided that they'll go back and resample the tenement, and they announced that in 2020. They also said in 2017 pretty much the same as what they said in just the recent announcement, that due to the previous sample fraction was not optimal for detection of gold. So I don't, they've got the results from those soil sampling, all those hits that they did, and they were going to obviously go back and do it at some stage. So I guess that's what they're doing now, is they're going back and they want to see. But what I couldn't figure out was, between 2017 all the way to 2020, 3 years later, they want to come back and see what's going on with this project, or I guess at least resample it again and do some more soil sampling. The other thing which was interesting to me was the fact that they're buying or they put an application in for another tenement just I think just south of sort of southwest of this tenement, E472983, and as I went through, I started to notice a few interesting points. So the thing I want you to remember here is the dates, and it's all highlighted in red so you can see. So De Grey Mining is just up there at Hemi. So recently this has been a discovery, pretty good drill hits as well, and their first discovery holes were recorded, or at least presented to the market on the 17th of December 2019. So on that date, they released these results: 43 metres at 3.7 grams per tonne from 36 metres, including 12 metres at 9 grams a tonne from 25 metres, and so on. And there's a few other drill hits there you can read. So I guess the interesting thing is that they recorded that, sent that to the market, and then on the 15th of January, Novo Resources and Eric Sprott both invested, a combined total of $8 million. Both subscribed to 10 million shares at 40 cents per share. So there's sort of a timeline going on here, and I think that's sort of why I've written this part, I guess, of my report down, is that from there to there, obviously Novo and Eric Sprott, before they buy into a company, they do research. They must know that Kalamazoo, they obviously know that Kalamazoo has a tenement in the, only 50 kilometres away to the northeast, only 50 kilometres away, to where the Sister Gold project is. So, between that, that and that, it's sort of, it makes sense to me why they bought in, and maybe Novo and Eric Sprott have part of the agreement of them, putting in extra capital into the company was to get Kalamazoo to go out there and also explore, and that's probably another reason why they've sent this announcement out now, and a 2020 version which pretty much says the same thing really. So piecing all this together, it did make sense to me that might be the case. Maybe they've had pushed them into going out there or something like that. On the 23rd of January, as I said, they've applied for an exploration license just down here. So that was the other thing that was interesting to me. So I'm guessing they've got a bit of backing from the investors that have recently bought in, and both Kalamazoo and De Grey's mining projects are essentially located to Novo's operations in the Pilbara. So it's an investment decision from them, as you can see, and it sort of all ties in together, I think, anyway. On the 2nd of April, they pretty much did the same thing here, republished this announcement with a few different changes. So they want to do further soil sampling there. So to me, that's very interesting, and I've got a little, I guess, thing to show you here. So quite interesting. This is called GeoView. For those of you who don't know, it's it tells you the tenements, the drill hits, and all that sort of stuff. So I'll just go on here if it's just loading. So I wanted to see. I guess I wanted to have a bit more of a closer look at all these tenements that they were drilling on, to see if there'd been any past drill hits or anything like that. And funnily enough, this program allows me to see the previous RC holes. So Sayona Mining was out there They were out there from 2018 to 2019, and yeah, they were targeting lithium. So, as I said back in this part, that there was a third-party exploration program out there, and they must have got them to do some soil sampling for them, or they used some of the samples that they had and put them into and put them into the geochem bags or something like that. So it all ties in together. One of the more interesting points looking at these is they've only drilled for lithium. So I think there's a pretty interesting upside here. And despite the fact that they did all that, I guess, entered those samples in based on the fact of looking for lithium, they've found some pretty decent gold results as well. But they obviously need to go back there and do a lot more exploring, because it's very limited, really. And there seems like there's a lot more opportunities out there for Kalamazoo to make maybe a discovery. So we'll see. But yeah, it gives you all the information in this document. So who operated on the tenement, the max depth, the RC hole, everything you need to know, really, the target commodity, and this is all the holes that they have on this tenement. So there hasn't been any other drilling on that tenement, and this is a government website. So if there is, like you can see there is over in this section here, it will all get recorded on the government website. The other interesting thing, and it should be loading soon, about this obviously this tenement just here is KZR. It's not actually registered in their name either. It's in Drillabit's name. I did some research on them, and it seems to me like they're pretty much just land holders. They go out and they buy land and then hold them and then sell them off and do this. But I think KZR previously said in an announcement that they own 80% to 100% of these tenements that they own, and there's quite a few tenements that they have. So obviously all the tenements that KZR they own, well, they don't own this one, so it's not listed in their name, so it was a bit hard for me to find. They own a certain equity in it, but not the whole tenement itself. These projects they own, and this project is another one that they're I guess they put in an application for, and this one has no drilling history whatsoever. There might be soil samples on it, but that's the one that I was talking about before that they've applied for. So I guess so they have planned soil works for in this in the tenement that they own a certain percentage of as well, and they have planned soil works in this one as well, which is near Kalamazoo Resources. And I like that. I like the fact that they want to go into areas where discoveries have sort of already been found, and it's only right. It's like saying, you wouldn't go into Kalgoorlie, but you would, because a lot of gold has been found around the super pit, so you'd be mad not to, I guess, put a drill bit down or do a bit of reconnaissance, I guess, in that sense. So I look forward to seeing what they do with these projects, particularly the one that's I guess where they're going to soil sample. Not necessarily one that they completely own, but it should be interesting to see what happens in the future with all these projects. So there's a bit of work up here for them, that's for sure. A lot of capital expenditure, I think, is going to be here. So luckily they've got 11.2 million in the bank, but we'll see what the quarterly says shortly. So this is a great website. You can go in, you can basically find heaps of there's heaps of obviously filtered preferences. You can see all these. You can go through and have a look yourself if you're interested. Anybody can use it. It's not strictly for any competent person to use or anything like that. Prospectors use this website a lot as well. So if you are a prospector and you don't know of this website, get onto it. It's bloody brilliant. So back to going through all these points, you can sort of see why they've applied for that application of the tenement down here. I think it might actually be that one, but yeah, it's the plot thickens. So the stage 1 of diamond drilling was completed at Castlemaine, and they're preparing and releasing the results by the end of April. So this is compiling the results, putting them into an announcement, and also receiving them from the lab, and then releasing them by the end of April. So, I mean, what is the date now? It's the 8th of April. If you see the price sort of go, surge a bit up, maybe mid-April, then there's probably a good chance that they've had some decent drill hits, and, some people in the market might know about it. So watch the price action between the middle of April, maybe the 3rd week of April, and see what happens there. So the Castlemaine project. So this project is quite interesting, and there hasn't been much exploration activity in this area in the past 150 years, due to issues with capital and government requirements and things like that. But what they're really trying to focus on, and these results will determine what they do in this project. But they've already had one result come back, which is fairly decent, I thought. But the crazy thing is that if they find this gold, if they find gold here, they're going to find it at depth. Whereas Fosterville, they're finding some of their biggest grades at 700 meters to a kilometre underground of depth, and that's a pretty big mine at the moment. So I like the exploration upside to this Castlemaine project, and the Muckleford project as well. And they're also trying to they put in an application to get another tenement in near Muckleford. So they've got a lot of applications coming in. They've got a lot of work. They've got a lot of capital. They've got a lot of backing. And I'm really interested to see where they go. So just a figure here. So figure A being the top one, and obviously figure B being the lower one. Very, very interesting to me that they're drilling up here, but they want to do some soil and geochemistry sampling down here as well. Same sort of rock type, and as down here. And I think that they've got a fair few planned holes down here as well for the future. Another thing I wanted to highlight, which is very, very important, I know a lot of companies do this, including the other one, the one I work for as well, consolidating 80,000 meters of historical diamond core. It basically just gives them a better look, a 3D image of what they're looking at underneath the surface. And I'm very, very excited to see what planning comes out of this, and also the IP and ground magnetic surveys is going to be a very, very interesting part. So they've got a lot of stuff in the pipework, potentially a lot of results coming out in the near term, within this year anyway, and it's getting very, very interesting. So other projects of interest: South Muckleford, 2020 soil sampling and IP and ground magnetic survey. So again, they're doing all these surveys at all their other. So there's going to be a lot of money spent. These surveys aren't cheap, and diamond drilling, especially, they said that they want to target deep drilling diamond holes. Their targets are very deep. Down in these projects. So it's going to cost a lot of money, it's good why they've got that $25 million exercisable option to I guess put more capital into the business. So they obviously expect that they're going to have results to follow up on, and I think they will as well. So it'll be interesting to see. So they're doing the same sort of surveying at the West Muckleford, which is, as I said, another tenement that they've put in an application for. I don't know if that's been accepted yet, but I guess we'll have to see. So Marble Bar, they said that they've got a drill program planned for Q3. and Dom's Hill Fieldwork, which was the other one I think that I showed you, this one up here. So basically a reconnaissance up here, and a drill program out here. So I think they're more interested in obviously where other companies have had big hits, which is a good thing, and the fact that they're still going out to all these other properties as well and having a look is a very, very good thing. And I'm guessing a rising gold price helps with all these decisions as well. So just quickly, so yeah, that'll be interesting. But as you can see, they're going to need more capital eventually, and I think depending on the results from all these projects, they may have more than better results at one or more of the projects where they're going to have to spend capital on as well. So they're going to need quite a lot of big money in the bank, and that's what the 13 or 11.2 million they should have left will be for, plus the options. So planned fieldworks for Q2 2020 at the Sisters Gold Project. I'm guessing if the results come back decent, then they will plan for potentially an air core program there. I don't see the point in bringing it. You don't bring a diamond rig out to an area that you've just soil sampled on. It doesn't make sense. You want to touch the surface and keep your costs low. And I think they should, because if they do have a decent hit somewhere else, they're going to need the capital to I guess push that out to another project somewhere else. So why I'm interested in them? So the shares on issue, Kalamazoo has 122 million shares on issue, with 49 million unlisted options. So it's a tightly held share registry. That's why I'm interested in them. That's I think where most of my value is, to be honest, because these companies can move, they can move quite high and fast, especially with the gold price being where it is. So location of tenements, Kalamazoo's tenements close to other gold companies, which have recently had success. Massive, a massive point, I think. Novo Resources and Eric Sprott investments of 10 million. Another big one, and all these have collectively, attracted me to this company, and I'm going to hold on for quite some time, I think. So Victorian Goldfields land release. So they've got these 4 tenements that they say there is strong interest from other companies as well. They haven't said that, but they've hinted that a lot of people are interested in these 4 block tenements. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens with that, and if they get these, I think it'll open up the exploration programs a lot more, and it's good that they've got that extra capital there for that. So this is I guess I'd like to see them get at least 1 or 2 of these 4 tenements, particularly 4 and 3, the 2 lower tenements. They look like they could be of a better value to the company. So Dr. Quinton, the technical advisor of Kalamazoo, is also the chairman and president of Novo Resources. So I know Novo hasn't exactly had the most, the market's confidence, the conglomerate gold in the Pilbara. But I think that having these technical expertise, 25 years in geology experience, and the fact that he's on the board of Novo and the president, just helps the company move forward, and it really is I guess bringing that expertise to the board of Kalamazoo. So every perspective is just as important as all the others. So I'm interested to see what happens. So that'll be it for today's video. It's gone on long enough, as it always does with me. But I appreciate you guys coming and having a look at the channel, and it means a lot. So thank you very much, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.